Hey everybody, thanks for joining. Really appreciate all the support, all the likes, all the positivity. Keep it coming. Today we're going to talk about the number 4 and the impact on the price of Bitcoin, and I'm super happy so many of you are really interested in a lot of the math behind this whole universe. And also what's happened in the last week has had a huge impact on how people feel about this asset class. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Quick disclaimer for everybody. This is just my opinion, not investment advice. So, what have we learned this week? Well, it's pretty simple. We can't trust the stock market or Wall Street as much as we felt we could, but we can trust in math and we can trust in Bitcoin. I think they are kind of the big takeaways, kind of who we can trust and who we can't trust. Now, on that topic, this is going to be kind of a closing quiz for everybody. Who on this page can we trust? Who can we follow? Who is very successful? Where are the billionaires sitting versus others? So please stay tuned for the result of that quiz at the very end of this video. Right, so today is a Friday, and that means options expiration. But just going over some numbers through the night, and this morning there was a lot of activity through the night. There's about $4 billion of contracts, about 120,000 contracts set to expire today. That's 4 billion. So this is part of the whole theme of number 4. So typically when options expire, you see a lot of last minute scrambling to cover short positions and the like. And therefore you can expect some volatility. We've already seen some volatility in things like Bitcoin and Tesla. And I'll talk more about those a little bit later. So let's talk about the number 4 and what I call the 4x factor of 4s and why it's very important to actual Bitcoin itself. And there's probably a ton more themes out there, so please add them in the comments if you come across them. I know a lot of you are very analytical, and I love that. But first of all, the number 4, or in Chinese, Xi, sounds like death, which is considered a bad luck number. So I don't want people, particularly our Asian audience, to think this is meaning death or bad luck, because to counterbalance that as well, in places like Europe, where I'm from, 4 is actually a good luck number. And we have things like 4 fingers on each hand and many things like that. This is actually a 4-leaf clover, which is considered very good luck. So do we read too much into good luck or bad luck from numbers? I don't know. I tend to be a little superstitious myself, so maybe. But I just want to put that out there before we jump in. The 4x factor of 4s. So US non-financial institutions sit on about $4 trillion in cash and cash-like reserves on their balance sheets. That is everything except for kind of banks and the like. If you look at the top 6 companies, you know, the Apples, Microsoft, Googles, Facebooks, they actually have 400 billion. So yet another 4. So nearly 10% of the 4 trillion is held by the top 6 companies. I think it was said that at one stage, I think Apple had nearly $250 billion in cash and cash equivalents, which is crazy amounts of money. But again, the reason that's important is for where we are going to go next. So Bitcoin, I posted a slide earlier, and this is basically talking about things like how Bitcoin quadrupled from 10K to 42K in 92 days. Again, another 4. And I also mentioned if the S&P 500, the top 500 companies in the United States, excluding all of the corporations from around the world, put 1% of their treasuries into Bitcoin, Bitcoin will go up by $40,000. And people wanted to know where the math of that came from. And I'll show you my math, but people that actually also test this are people like Kathy Wood, which we'll showcase a little bit later. So basically, that's big. And everybody used to talk about putting 1% of assets or net worth into Bitcoin. That number has recently leaped to 5%. So 5% is the new 1% for this asset class. As it becomes more mainstream, less volatile, more widely adopted, that percentage will only continue to go up. And the upside is over time, maybe 3 to 5 years from now, the S&P 500, again, just the S&P 500 treasuries could put 10% of their money into Bitcoin as they see their fiat devaluing over time. That would place Bitcoin at $400,000. Again, big numbers, but let's go into why. Now, another 4 on the theme of 4x factors of 4s Grayscale put nearly 4 billion of inflows in the fourth quarter 2020. They are now at 20 billion in total. So again, fours are everywhere, and you're going to see a video from me shortly about my background and how I see patterns on things and how I use patterns and data and analysis to make money. But let's go a little bit deeper. So, per my math, there are only 4 million coins available for purchase. And the big theme this week has been diamond hands from people, i.e. people who don't sell. Now, I had some viewers, actually, I'm going to zoom out for a second. I had some viewers that said they sold all their Bitcoin because they were nervous, or the volatility, or when it crashed down to 30,000, they got afraid and they sold out. And now they're wondering whether they should get back in. It's just all I urge people is, if you do have a little bit of Bitcoin, hold it. And even people like Meet Kevin, that other famous YouTuber, I just heard today, he just bought 9 Bitcoin. And his goal is to get to 10 Bitcoin. And that guy has a lot of money, made a lot of money from Tesla stock and stuff like that. So that's great for him. But he also was very late to the game, and he's only buying in now. So please don't let the volatility or the high price discourage you. Everybody needs a piece, and I urge you to do a little bit of research on Bitcoin insurance. Check out my Retire on Bitcoin video. So let's jump back into this math here. So if there are only 4 million coins available, if you go to my video as well, where are all the coins gone, you'll see where I come up with this 4 million coins. Now, the market cap of 4 million coins is $140 billion at 35K, or we could assume the market cap of 4 million coins, rounding things up, at 40K would be 160 billion. So somewhere between 140 and 160 billion is the market cap of Bitcoin. Now, why is this important? The reason this is important is because I believe, and many others do as well, because it just takes a small amount of money to go into Bitcoin to increase the price. So for Bitcoin to double, my thesis, i.e. to go from, say, 30 to 70, or to add $40,000 in price, we just need a net inflow of a quarter of 160 billion, which is about $40 billion. This is equivalent to 40 Microstrategy-like moves that they made when they bought 70,000 Bitcoin with about $1 billion. Or Apple, just Apple alone moving 20% of their treasury into Bitcoin. That would be $40 billion. Or MassMutual, they put 100 million in Q4, which shocked the world, being such a conservative industry. Just 400 of those types of companies. And there's lots of even medium-sized businesses that have 100 million plus in treasury. So just think about that. I think it's very easy to achieve that extra 40 billion in inflows. Now, it's also important to note, I am only talking about treasuries. I'm not talking about the gold bugs, sovereign countries, ETFs, retail investors, which have become very famous this week because of Wall Street Bets and Reddit and everything else, family offices, pension funds. All of these other categories are going to come to the party. And they're going to come probably with that 5%, not the 1%, but the 5% in 2021 or sometime in 2022. So it's going to be very easy to achieve that extra 40 billion, which will add an extra $40,000 onto the Bitcoin price. So on a separate note, for those who were up very early this morning at 3 a.m., they noticed something happening. Quiz for everybody. Who hates shorts? And what does S3XY mean? For those Tesla investors out there, we all know what this means. And in fact, Elon Musk made a joke of creating shorts and making them available for sale to really make fun of hedge funds and other companies that are short sellers that have been the bane of his existence for a long time because they were non-believers in Tesla. So he loves to see shorts getting burned. Just during the night or early morning Pacific time this morning, Elon Musk was tweeting again, and he changed his bio to just being #Bitcoin. And this moved Bitcoin $4,000 in 30 minutes. And I was watching it live. And it's again another $4,000 in 30 minutes. And if you think of Tesla potentially moving 20% of their treasuries, which is just about to reach $20 billion despite all the capital investments they've made in gigafactories and charging stations and everything else, that would be $4 billion. That would get us 10% of where we need to be. So again, another 4. And of course, Elon Musk, the richest man in the world, poking fun at the world. So, and the reason he did this, of course, is look who is short Bitcoin. And today is a option expiration day. So expect a lot of volatility, like I said at the beginning. And these hedge funds are short a huge amount, like I covered already. You notice everybody else is bullish, but the hedge funds are bearish on Bitcoin. So who's going to win the day? Let's see. Again, like always, there's always inherent risk with every asset class. Not investment advice, but technically, you never know what could happen. Now, what is the catalyst for this 40 billion that could happen? And this is the Bitcoin for Corporations event that's happening on the 3rd and 4th of February, just next week. They have thousands registered for this event. And again, all we're looking for is 40 sizable corporations to take the plunge and put a little bit of their treasury, or half of the treasury, or 5% of the treasury, or whatever, into Bitcoin. And we will get to that $40 billion level. And that is separate from all the other investor categories that are out there. So the conclusion for everybody, real quick, and this is a slide, talk about some of the names. Who do you trust? So if you look at the left-hand side of the slide, you've got all of the bulls on Bitcoin, which also happen to be almost all are billionaires. All are highly intelligent. We've got Tim Draper, one of the top VCs on the face of the earth. We've got Elon Musk, of course, the biggest genius of our time, in my opinion. I don't want to offend anybody. I know there are some Tesla haters out there and Elon Musk haters. We've got Jack Dorsey from Twitter, Ray Dalio, who featured in my video yesterday, Chamath. We have, of course, Michael Saylor. We have Raoul Pal and Cathie Wood, brilliant analyst and investor. And all of the brain power on this left-hand side of the chart is phenomenal. Then we have the haters on the right. We have Rubini, Schiff, Krugman, and of course Lagarde from the European Central Bank, who is a corrupt person. Who would you back in this actual race? That's the interesting point. Just want to leave you with that. And one other thing, just coincidentally, a little tiny public service announcement. I saw people in the store yesterday, in a very average store in the United States, buying Bitcoin from a Bitcoin ATM. I just want to alert people that there are now there's 14,000, again, another 4 Bitcoin ATMs around the world. A ton of them are in the US. No idea why the vast majority of all Bitcoin ATMs are in the US, but I guess they're swindling. But when people are there and they're putting their hard-earned fiat money into a machine to get a receipt, that receipt is basically your Bitcoin until you transfer it to some type of digital wallet. And again, don't lose that piece of paper. I saw people that looked a little bit chaotic yesterday buying Bitcoin and shoving that piece of paper in their back pocket like it was nothing, like it was a grocery store receipt. So all I'm saying to everybody is be very careful if you're doing this. And of course, the commissions on these ATM machines are ridiculous, very high. There's better, cheaper ways to buy Bitcoin. Anyway, watch for the scammers. As usual, I'm the Black Bubble. I'm active in the comments. Thank you for all the love. If you like this type of content and want more money-making advice, please, likes are very important. Hit the bell to know my next video is coming out. And of course, I'd love you to subscribe if you haven't already. I work very hard to bring you unique information that you can use to make money. Thanks all. Let's continue the journey to financial freedom.